All right, we're rolling. So you asked what Escher is doing, and Escher is just indifferent to the conversation. He doesn't care. The girl says that she doesn't want to go back to her mom because she fears Strahd, and because her mom fears Strahd, and she doesn't see how he's so bad. He's actually been really nice to her, so she wants to stay. She doesn't want to go.
How are we all sitting, or like, who's closest to me? I guess I'm asking.
You can put yourself wherever you want. So there's like a main like table with a long couch, and then on the other side of the table there's 2 chairs, and then another like love seat.
And where are they sitting?
They're sitting in the 2 chairs. Yeah. So if this was it, actually I kind of just described this, didn't I? They're sitting here, and then this and this are open.
The fireplace is right there?
Yes.
Well, I'm sitting then across, probably here.
Okay, so the girl is here, and then the man is here.
Okay.
I'm not sitting. I'm standing.
I'm drinking.
Yeah, I'm standing next to the fire right there.
Okay. Like
Where's
over
the door in and out of this room?
behind you. So here,
Behind
and
me,
then
directly behind me?
directly behind you, and then next to the fireplace, you see a kind of 2 double doors that are kind of shaped in an archway.
Facing the fireplace on the opposite side of the room?
No, they're on the wall of the fireplace. So the fireplace is there, and then the wall extends to the left, and you see a kind of arched double doors, the same kind of thick wooden doors that were in the front. You don't know what's on the other side of that. So she said, my mom is crazy. And so, what do you do?
At this point, I'm just not even talking to this little shit. This fucking idiot. Like, you can't reason with insanity. So,
why do you think that his marriage to this other maiden is not one that's going to last? How long have you been here, girl?
I've been here 2 weeks. And in that time, I've gotten to know Strahd very well. And he's a nice man.
What has he done that's nice?
He comes in at nights, and he sits by my bed, and he strokes my hair. And he tells me that he's going to keep me here forever. That he's going to marry me. And he hasn't been rude or aggressive, and he hasn't attacked me or anything like that. All the things that my mom told me he hasn't done any of that.
Except lied to you and didn't stand by his word.
What do you
He
mean?
was going to commit himself to you and he didn't.
He tells me that these things take time.
That's what he told you.
Yes. Yes. 2 weeks is not enough time to just jump into a marriage. I need to...
But he jumped into a marriage with Homegirl in less time that you've been with him?
No, they haven't. They're not married yet. No, he... maybe I used the bride term wrong, but they're just engaged. They haven't actually done anything yet. But I can.
Sounds like you're plan B.
And she says, no, Strahd would never do that.
How do you know? You've only known him for 2 weeks.
That's all it takes. That's all I need to know.
Jesus fuck. See where she gets from? Batshit crazy.
Yeah.
You're gonna be so happy. No, I'm just kidding. You're gonna be so happy with him. No.
She does say, I do wish my mother could come though, to the castle and be here with me.
She's probably very busy.
I do miss her sometimes.
She misses you too.
How do you know?
I just no. She does.
Well, I'm sure she does, but I can't think about that. I don't want to. It's too hard.
Wedding to plan.
It's too hard.
what does your
So what
father
are your
think about this?
colors?
My father died long ago.
How?
I don't know. It was before I could remember.
Your mother never spoke of it?
No, she didn't tell me. She didn't want to talk about him.
Is the creepy elf guy still in the room?
No, he left.
The real questions.
He left.
Okay. Maybe we should just wait for Strahd.
So bellboy, what's
Oh,
for
oh,
dinner? I asked
Um,
Escher.
Escher? He's a bellboy. Excuse you?
God, we're gonna die.
Just then, the door that you came through opens, and you see a man hunched over, carrying a torch or a lantern, and he says, "Master has instructed me to take you on a tour of the castle. He is occupied at the moment. Perhaps I could show you the servants' quarters, and then take you to your rooms."
Rooms.
Yes,
We just thought we were here for
Yes.
dinner, dude.
you all have individual rooms. Strahd insists on it.
Oh.
All right. Is this guy like? Is he look like a human? Like, what is he?
He looks like a human with kind of a gnarled hand.
We're actually just like playing the plot of Scary Movie.
His hand's gonna be the mashed potato.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
He says, "Do not worry, dinner will be served shortly.
Grandma strong.
What's on the menu?
It is roast pheasant with grilled vegetables and a wine reduction sauce.
Sounds lovely.
It is lovely.
All right.
Oh, shit.
Shall we? Let's commence the tour of the castle."
Sure, the
I'm
servants'
down. I'm
quarters are
down.
always the first up.
Of
We love
course.
to see them.
I'm down.
And like he like walks with a hump or like a limp, kind of like, and his like lantern is kind of like jingling as he's kind of walking along. You see his long like gray hair kind of hanging down in front of his face, kind of blocking his view.
Are
Can I walk behind
Gertruda
him?
and
Yeah.
Are Gertruda and Escher coming with us?
No, they stay there. They've seen the castle.
Yeah.
Was there anything you wanted to say to Gertruda before?
I have nothing to say to Gertruda. Somebody else, please. That's you. You have the soft spot for kids. I don't.
I'll tell her. No, I won't tell her that.
Can I
Mhm.
I would like to discreetly
Mhm.
pull Gertruda's doll out and leave it on the couch without knowing that I left it there.
Okay. You do that. Yeah, you do that pretty. I mean, it's kind of darkly lit because of the fireplace. You can kind of go through your pack. People aren't watching you too intensely. You just kind of leave it there next to you. As this man kind of, or this kind of hunched over man walks away and you're leaving the room, you hear Gertruda just burst into tears.
Played that well. Oh my god.
I'm dead. Wait.
Would you like me to fill you in, Devin, on what's going on?
No, I like not knowing.
Okay.
It's fun.
Okay. So you continue on, and he says, "Come, come, let's keep up."
Keep up.
Such a good job.
As he limps down the hall.
You guys need to hurry up, all right?
And you kind of weave your way back through the long hallway with the suits of armor.
So what does this guy look like?
He's hunched over, kind of with a gnarled hand, almost as if he's been burned, and his fingers have kind of curled up. And he kind of uses it to hold this lantern. He's kind of hunched over, and and he has long, like greasy gray hair, kind of in his face, and he's wearing like a long, like coat. He's kind of just like walking
Does
this
he look
way.
like a vampire?
No, he doesn't look like a vampire.
If you look, he'll kill us.
And he's like, so he takes you back through the great entrance that you entered, and kind of takes you through another kind of confusing, like hallways and rooms, and you arrive at a staircase.
Can I like make a check to try to remember the layout of this building?
Yeah. What would that be?
Is it like this?
Kinda, yeah.
Great. So it is now.
Except he has more hair.
Oh god. Oh.
So yes, that would be investigation, I guess. Roll investigation.
One. Oh, wait, hold on.
You use the or you get your lucky uses back.
No, fuck it. We're probably gonna get lost.
You
in
get
it.
3. You can
Yeah,
use
no, I know.
3.
I'm gonna save this shit though.
Okay, so you
Just sit with a natural 1.
and
We take
so
a
how
left
about
turn and I'm completely lost
the other
at this
3 of
point.
you make perception or investigation checks as well.
Who, all of us?
Yeah.
Oh, so
You've already done yours.
Okay.
I'm having them do it as well. Huh?
Yeah,
Where's mine?
15 plus something.
Okay, you pass.
No, my notebook was for
Where'd you leave it?
Oh, I
Excuse
found
me.
it there.
Jeez.
Wait, did I?
No.
Where did mine go?
Okay, so all of you pass, and so you are able to kind of
Is it?
That's yours.
keep your wits about you,
Yeah.
and your sense of direction through Castle Ravenloft is actually very good.
Okay.
You're kind of like stumbling along, like looking around. You don't really know what's
know.
going on. You kind of after the third like turn, you're like, well, fuck, I'm lost. But
anyone get around this place?
yeah, Yes, well, it's very easy. And so he kind of walks, and you get to a large like stone spiral staircase that descends down. It's not marble. It looks just kind of like a gray, kind of just regular stone, almost like cement material. And it descends down. As you go down this spiral staircase, you start to smell what smells like kind of mechanical grease, almost like train tracks. You smell kind of like that like smell of like machinery. And you hear kind of squeaking of gears and like jingling of chains as you make your way down. You go one level down and you continue through. This level has no windows and it's completely dark except for torches and sconces lining the walls of these kind of dark, narrow corridors that he's guiding you through. He arrives at the servants' quarters. And he says, "This is where the servants sleep. We'll move on. I'll take you to the kitchen." And he takes.
Any servants in there?
No, you don't see any. He goes, "The servants are tending to the castle. They will return tonight." And he takes you on, and you go through the kitchen, and you see the kitchen is a grand kitchen with all of the cooking supplies. Everything is in good condition. No dust or piles of garbage. It seems to be very well taken care of. And the man says, "This is where where the servants prepare the meals for master. He definitely likes hosting. Granted, he used to do more years ago. He doesn't have people over often these days.
When was the last time you had guests?
It was years ago. 10 years ago.
And what happened to those guests?
I don't know. I've never left the castle. I don't know where they went." And he says, "Shall we continue to the trophy room?" "Yes. Let us go." And so he continues on, and you get to a room that is full of piles of bones that are kind of reconstructed into shapes of animals that you've never seen before. These odd-looking skeletons, some of them with like 6 arms and legs. They all have human skulls. And he says, "Yes, master lets me construct these things. This is where I like to keep my sculptures." And I would like all of you to make a perception check when you get to this room. All right. So, Soren, you see mounted high on the wall across this dark room that just has these weird like skeletons constructed. You see a large dragon head mounted on the wall. And
Does it look familiar?
it does. It looks well.
Or does it look like that big ass dragon in front of that fucking?
Arkenbostel?
Yeah.
You assume that is the dragon. And he says, "This is one of Master's prized possessions.
What is it?
It is the skull of a dragon that he slayed when he took over Barovia.
He killed it?
Yes, he is a very powerful man.
Mm.
Took down a dragon.
You saw him do this?
When I was not alive then.
How did you know he killed it then?
He tells me.
Oh, well, I
I
don't
be-
believe you.
He has no reason to lie to me. I don't know why. Yes.
He's every reason to lie to you, dude. You're fucking nothing.
He says, "I have been a humble servant of Strahd for 40 years.
And look where it has gotten you.
Clothed and fed."
In a weird hand.
And he says, "This happened before."
certainly things are certainly looking up now, are they not? You get to play with bones all day, look at weird heads.
Says, the life of somebody maimed like me is not good in the villages.
Mm.
Strahd has taken pity on me. And
I
let
take
me-
pity on you as well.
Shall we move on?
Can I take a closer look at the dragon head before we leave the room?
Oh shit, yeah, you're like half
There
fairy
you
or some
go.
shit, right?
Sure.
Who's Rodin, man?
Basically, dude.
boy.
You might be passing up a fucking
I
dragon
know,
order.
right?
Unlock a new fucking power.
Yeah, right.
Roll investigation. And that for you is +3. All right. So you see this dragon there. You don't see anything of value. Like its eyes aren't like crystals or anything. It's just a hollowed out dragon skull. But you do see that you do notice that it's a silver dragon, which is the same dragon that Argynvost
Yeah,
was.
right.
When you look at it, you see that the whatever, like the mechanism to kind of mount it to the wall looks like it could be easily unscrewed.
Okay. All right.
Dude, Brad Pitt told us his name, right?
Escher told you his name, yeah.
What is your name?
Igor.
Oh, God.
It sounds familiar. I cannot remember from where.
Yeah. He says, "Shall we continue?"
Yay.
So he takes you through the servants' quarters up to another staircase that leads up from the kitchen into a desecrated, or sorry, on the other side of the kitchen, you see a impressive wine cellar, with just bottles of wine that more wine than you've ever seen in your life. He has casks and barrels just aging. When you look at a few of the barrels, you see that some of the vintages are 300 or 400 years old. Wine that it's been there aging for a very long time. And did you want to do anything in the wine cellar?
Oh, I didn't see if I could take a bottle.
Roll
Where
s-
were we smelling the machines again?
you came down a staircase,
quarters.
the servers' quarters, and he says, "You probably noticed the smell. There's a service elevator that will take us up to the top floor. It operates." And
Which floor was that meeting room on? Where we
the
were?
ground floor. So you're one floor below. So there's the ground floor, then you're one floor below. He says, "Your rooms are on the 5th floor. Very high. Strahd's guests get nothing but the best."
What are on the other floors?
He says, "We'll get there." And
Eventually.
Come on, Speedy, let's go.
okay, so he takes you through, and you get to a he starts pulling, or so you see the wine cellar. Mozark, you steal a bottle and you kind of stash it in your bag. Did you want to take one that's like 200 years old, 300 years old, 300 years old? So you grab a bottle of this 300-year-old wine, you stash it, and he says, come on, let's go." So he takes you, and you see a big stone room with like kind of a middle like cleared out area, and when you look up, you see there's this vast like cavernous like just hollowed out pillar leading up, and you hear the squeaking of the gears and the chains start to kind of intensify as the elevator is starting to lower, and he pulls like a lever and it's coming, and then you hear it jam, and he's just like, he's pulling on the lever. It's like,
You should use your good hand.
this one? And he's like, we'll have to take the stairs.
Have we ever seen anything like this before in an elevator?
No, this is technology that you are not familiar with. And did you have questions about it?
I'm just kind of.
What power is it?
We state-of-the-art technology. It is powered by steam engines. And I believe this is the only castle in Barovia, the only dwelling in Barovia that uses this kind of power. But the elevator jams, so he takes you back up through the kitchen, up a staircase, and you come to a desecrated church. The church has not been well maintained. This is covered in spider webs and dust, and it just looks a mess.
Desecrated church.
Yeah. And he says, Master doesn't use this room very often, as you can tell.
Can I look
I-
around?
Sorry.
Can I look around and see what type of worship might have been done here?
It looks like it was the Morning Lord. You see like sun symbols, but they have all been taken off the walls. You see where they would have been up, but they're all off the walls, thrown on the ground. But it was a church to the Morning Lord, Lathander. Now you do see also around this desecrated church, you see any mirrors that were on the walls have been shattered. So, and he says, well then, I guess we'll go to your bedrooms then. And he takes you up, shows you the bedrooms. They are very, very nice. The fluffiest beds you've ever seen. And they're high up in the tower. And you all each get an individual room. So yeah, and then he takes you back down to the waiting room. Did you have any questions for Igor?
No.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So, let me use the bathroom real quick, guys. Don't even
Don't you leave?
Is that a channel?
Hmm.
Can you pass me the water area, please? It's to your right on the floor, next to the laptop. You didn't want to shake that guy's hand, Steven?
We're just making fun of this disabled man the entire time. You know?
Hey man, he's a servant of straw, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
There's no innocence in this fucking castle.
I played the Katrina thing. Okay.
Started bawling.
Where does she stay, I wonder?
Yeah.
I do want to ask Igor questions, maybe.
Like what?
Where they sleep.
Real.
Alright. So I did fail to mention. Igor said something to you when you were in the servants' quarters. You found a staircase leading down from the servants' quarters down to a level below. And he tells you, down below this servants' quarters level leads to the dungeons and the catacombs. You are not to go down there. Never go down there, lest you wish to find yourselves there permanently. And when you're walking by the staircase, you can hear torturous screams coming from the dungeon level of the castle. And it sounds as if a man is pleading with his torturer not to hurt him. So, you make your way back.
Is Igor still with us?
Yes.
Can I ask him, so which floor are we staying on?
Yes, you're staying on the 5th floor. Yeah.
Okay.
Fourth floor.
And servants are below ground level.
So yes, there's ground level where the dinner is. Then there's the servants' quarters. There's the catacombs below that, and then there's 2 floors, and then your guest floor above you. So there's the ground level, first floor, second floor. Sorry, ground level is first floor.
Yeah.
So second,
Second,
third,
third,
fourth is
fourth.
where you are. So you haven't seen the second and third floors yet.
Okay.
Um,
Many floors. Igor, how many floors are there to this lovely, lovely castle that you manage?
Yes. And he says there are five floors total in this castle, and I know every single one of them like the back of my hand.
Of course.
And he looks down at his hand.
I would expect no less, Igor. Where might night I find the young ladies. Those in the meeting area.
Oh, you mean Gertruda?
Oh, is that her name?
Yes.
This is brand new information.
He says, I don't care for her much, but Strahd seems to want to keep her around, but
Saucy.
she is on the 3rd floor, the king's floor.
So we're above Gertruda.
Yes. The guests in Castle Ravenloft get nothing but the best.
So people who are here permanently stay on the 3rd floor.
What floor does
That aren't
Strahd stay?
royalty, but are not.
It's the 3rd floor is the king's floor. It is where Strahd sleeps, or
How
where
long
he
do guests
slept.
normally stay here?
Not long, but as long as you'd like.
And they leave normally after not long.
I have to be honest with you. Not very many have the luxury of crossing that bridge twice. Strahd sleeps on the king's floor, or at least he did sleep there. And now he sleeps in the catacombs below Castle Ravenloft. But it is where he hopes to sleep with his bride once they are married.
When he said that, sweet. Anyway, where is our boy Strahd?
He will be with you shortly. And he kind of walks you down back into the waiting room. And so now you're back with Gertruda and Escher in that room. Was there anything you wanted to do with Igor before he departs? Any other places you want to see or any questions you have for him?
When's dinner?
Very soon. Very soon. Can you not smell it? The kitchen...
I'm smelling lots of
From inside this waiting room, you start to hear kind of a hustle and bustle on the other side of this big door that's next to the fireplace. You hear what sounds like clinking of plates and like silverware being laid out on the table. And then the doors open, and it is the elf that greeted you to Castle Ravenloft. And he says, "The master will see you now. But only the 4 of you. Gertruda and Escher, you will wait here. Strahd would like to discuss some things in private with our new guests."
Okay.
I'm gonna follow the fun.
Did the weird elf, do you tell us his name?
You can ask him what his name is.
Oh.
Well, I mean, he might have introduced himself when you shook his hand. But his name is Rahadin.
Rahadin?
Yes. He says, "Come in." So he takes you through these doors, and you see in front of you a long, kind of rectangular table. There's a grand chair sitting at the head of the table. It's intricately carved wood, painted gold, with a red velvet. Looks a little like this, actually.
Cool.
That's the chair that you see sitting at the head of the table. Nobody's in it. You see an empty table. Strahd is not there. There are 4 or 6 place settings at this table, but the table itself is so large it could fit probably about 20 people. It'd be a grand feast. All of your table settings are sitting as close to him as possible. And he says, Rahadin says, "Go on, take your seats."
Are there any fireplaces in this room?
Yes,
Okay.
there's like a roaring fire going on in an even bigger fireplace. It's kind of emanating warmth through the whole room. On the back wall of this room, behind Strahd, you see a grand organ with metal pipes kind of extending high along the wall. You see these human-like figures that are kind of statues, kind of carved into the sides of this organ that seem to be kind of crawling their way up the sides of the organ. And the top of each metal pipe is fashioned into the shape of a screaming face. You see a long bench sitting in front of the organ that is not being. There's nobody in the chair right now.
Is it playing music?
It is not.
Okay, cool.
Candles line the table, and and so you are here, and Rahadin tells you to take your seats, and this is what you see.
Sorry, so I was reading my notes. It's the big chair,
Mhm.
and then how many seats on each side? Sorry.
There's 10 seats on each side with the big chair at the head.
Okay.
And all of your table settings are as close to the head of the table as possible. You're not
Total of 5 place settings.
6. 4 of you plus the 2 that are waiting. But you're not on the other side of the table. You're like real close to them.
Okay, and then who let us in?
Rahadin.
I look at Rahadin and I go, is there, are we supposed to sit anywhere specific in a particular order?
He says, sit where you like.
Okay. I go and I sit right down next to the big chair.
Next to the big chair. You do that. So, should we draw this out?
Yeah.
I'll
What
sit
do you
on the-
say?
I'll
I
sit
want
on
to
the other
sit
one
as
close to it.
close to Strahd as I can, but I know like whatever seating arrangements there might be, I'll be respectful of that.
Fine, fuck it.
Maybe I want to be a vampire. You don't know.
I think you do. I think you're trying.
And then behind you see a huge organ right here.
Let's
You're
just
in,
be
I'm in,
servants of
we're
Strahd. Come on, guys.
And
Sound like a good time?
that's the organ. And where you entered is a door over here on this wall.
Where's the fireplace?
Fireplace is kind of, this room kind of goes this way. Fireplace is like here. Like fire. There's only one in this room. Haha.
Poor Strahd on his one.
Basically a peasant.
All right.
I guess I'm impressed.
So, actually, yeah, that'll work. That'll be fine. So, but you don't see anyone in this room. And you take your seat
Where are you sitting?
As close as etiquette will allow me.
right there.
On his lap?
Is there wine on the table? Because I'll pour myself a glass too.
No, there's not wine. You get it.
I will not sit that close to him, but I want to keep her in my view. So where are you sitting, Ariel? Or Hope? Right here?
Right
Then
there.
I want to be right there.
On this side, but on the edge.
No, well,
Opposite corners?
yeah.
Okay.
Right there. No, the middle one, because there's 6 of us. But like,
Yeah, put your dude there.
oh fuck. Here you go.
Oh, I
ahead,
didn't
DM.
bring my mini.
That's all you DM right there.
There's some in here too.
Where's your bag?
Be this unpainted lady.
Your bag of
with an
minis.
umbrella.
Minis?
There's like a warrior.
Yeah,
guy
your
in
dice
here.
bag.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to
this
be
guy.
a lady.
No, we
Look at
have
this
one
pretty
for you.
lady
I want to paint that.
with an
Okay.
umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need?
There's a black-haired man in that bag. That is Soren.
That can be what's her name? Gertruda.
Oh, mine. Oh, fuck! I took mine home.
Oh, yeah, here.
Hey, never mind. I'm no longer a lady.
So you're sitting on the edge there.
Yeah.
Here are all my minis if you need.
You need mine.
Oh. Okay. So the fire's roaring along. Rahadin tells you, he says, dinner will be served shortly. In the meantime, wait here. Master will be out shortly.
Can I get a
And he-
drink?
And he says, of course. And you see one of the servants who looks alive, but human, comes in with the head down, carrying a platter.
I ask him what year is it?
Well, it's 450.
Good. Yes.
Correct
Correct
answer.
answer.
I was testing you. You passed. Congratulations.
And so yes, so she comes in, head down, kind of like puts out the tray to you, and do you take a glass of wine from her?
Yes. I take it and I guzzle it down.
Okay, and she
I put it
puts
down.
the decanter and a few other bottles of wine on the table, and then your glasses. She kind of puts glasses down for each of you, and are you going to pour yourselves wine?
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so
100%.
you guys are drinking, and just then you see mist. Wait, hold on. We haven't had music this entire session, have we?
I know we need atmosphere.
Yeah, Steven, behind you. Will you?
Use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Establish the musical situation.
Will you turn off this Bluetooth and turn it back on? Yeah. There we go. Ah, I had it. There we go. Playlists.
Yes.
That's maybe a little too heavy.
It's like some creepy dungeon music.
There we go. We need some like regal.
Some good dinner music.
Yeah, that's good. Grains of castamere.
All right, this is still recording, so we're good there.
By the way, is there any music going on in this castle?
No,
Or-
no
Gonna
music.
play the organ. Get the hand guy to do
I can guess Mage Hand.
it. Wow.
Oh, what's his name playing the
Do
organ?
it,
Yeah.
Steven. Cast Mage Hand to play us a song.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Cast Mage Hand.
You cast
over,
Mage Hand?
over on the organ and
Do you know how to
like
play
a
organ?
chord. I'd say I really mediocre.
Roll performance with disadvantage. Oh,
20.
15.
Oh wait, what'd you roll?
Disadvantage, he said.
Oh.
yeah, that was really good. Let's see, and your performance is plus 3, so you roll an 18 total. So you, with your magical hand, your mage hand, kind of the spectral hand starts playing the organ, and the organ starts squealing at first, but it turns into this actually nice sounding organ music. I mean, you're not like, Bach or anything, but like,
I'm just doing like a few chords.
yeah.
Hot cross bun.
Yeah.
Hot cross.
And when you do that, you see mist start to kind of form from the ground, and it takes the shape of a man sitting in the chair at the head of the table. And when you look at him, he apparates. He sits there,
I stopped playing the organ.
and he says, "No, continue."
So you have to
I
roll
don't
another
want
check?
it.
Does he have to roll another check?
No.
With double disadvantage? Gaze of straw debuff.
I play a couple more chords.
Okay. He says,
Hey DM, does this music fit the situation? Just wondering.
She feels. Look at her. She's so nervous. Yes.
it does. It. I would say no, not right now.
There's no organs playing in this song.
I thought he was paused.
I always imagine when you said the organ, and I imagine the whole like situation we're in. Do you remember the fucking? You remember the music from
Phantom of the
Pirates of the
Opera?
Caribbean? Fucking.
Yeah.
Is it
yeah.
the third
With
one?
Davy Jones.
With Davy
playing,
fucking Jones? Yeah, that's what I'm like hearing in my head. And I was like, dude, this shit is creepy.
I do.
Screaming
This ain't
people,
good.
faces on the top.
Hold on, guys. I need to get my notes here. I'm drawing a blank.
He's got a whole flow chart, guys.
We're
Look out!
fucked.
Look out!
If they play the organs, then they die.
That was actually the self-destruct button on the console.
Yeah. That sealed the fate.
And he says, "Very good. Are you happy with yourself?"
Not yet.
He says, "Perhaps you would like to go sit and play."
I'm fine. And and then I want to have the mage hand like come and like come over to me and like drink my glass of wine for me.
I stand up and I say, "I'll play."
And he says, "No, you won't. I see you all have wine."
I don't know.
Fuck.
Fuck.
I don't say that I don't have one, but I don't have one.
This is not going the way I
It's
thought
super
it
great.
would.
I'm gonna put my glass down.
And he says, "I see you all have wine. I would join you, but I never drink wine.
Quite a
So tell
collection
me,
for someone who doesn't enjoy wine.
I'm still a nobleman. I enjoy the finer things in life. So tell me, I don't get to host very often. Tell me a little bit about yourselves. I know all about you, Soren.
Fun.
I'm not interested in hearing your story."
Well, you could say we're not from around here.
Well, I know this. I watched you enter the mists. Perhaps you remember a wolf that crossed your path.
Do I know what he's talking about?
Yes, in session 1, you guys fought wolves.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
used Blessing of the Trickster or Mirror Image. You
Mirror
cast-
image and thaumaturgy
Yeah.
to convince the.
and
when you had the wolves like kind of run off.
yes, there was a wolf that kind of nodded at you,
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
and he says, "I was impressed. Hope you are smarter than I took you for, and I'll forgive the stake in the back. Tell me a little bit about yourselves. Where are you from?"
I just blurted out Waterdeep.
It's been hundreds of years since I've seen Waterdeep. I've been holed up in this prison for 400 years. It's enough to drive a person mad.
Prison, huh?
You heard me.
What do you mean?
I am trapped here. Not by choice. It's the curse that I am under. Certainly you've heard about me.
I hold up my glass and go, "To King Barov."
Yes. He says,
Look at everyone
I'm trying to
else. I
think.
go,
I'm trying to think. I know you know that, but I'm trying, like DM here. I'm trying to think how you know King Barov. I mentioned that once.
Written down in
Yeah.
my notes, bitch.
Yeah.
Is it from
Um,
the book I found in the There's a
It
book
might
called
be.
Let's find
No,
out.
I think Madame
Or the
Eva.
Legend.
I think you're right.
Madame
I think
Eva
Madame Eva
told
said
us.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. And roll persuasion.
I used my inspiration already, right?
Yeah. Yes, you did.
Did you get that music buff?
And you roll an 11 total. He says, "Yes, my father was a great man. He fought many wars. He took many lands. I fought in his name. Barovia is where I chose to settle."
Is it a surprise to me that he knows about me?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I am really feeling this music fits. I don't know what it is.
Okay, it fits.
Cool.
I'll give it to you.
That's how I'm feeling.
And one sec here. I have so many notes.
Can I look around and see? Are there? We're in a dining hall, right?
Yes.
Are there any like paintings or anything? Any sort of art?
Yes, you see the same portraits that you saw at the top of the grand staircase in the main entry hall. You see Strahd kind of standing like this, more color to his face than you see of the man sitting in front of you now.
Just Strahd?
Strahd, and then you see a younger person who looks strikingly like Strahd. His face has been scratched out. And then you see a beautiful blonde-haired woman. The three portraits there. You also see a very regal, old-looking man and an older-looking woman, dressed in full king's gowns, king and queen, with crowns and holding like a
Scepter.
scepter. Yeah.
Is there anything on the scepter that would indicate like a specific religion?
Not that you can tell. No. Not that you can tell. It just looks like they're very noble, probably a king or queen. Strahd sees you looking around, and he says, "Yes, those are my parents." He says, "That is King Barav, who you just toasted to."
Yes.
I don't want advantage on. I don't even want to make it. Play a different fucking
It's not worth it, man.
And Sadke, who's
He says, "That is my brother. I do not wish to talk about that anymore.
What are we here to talk about?
Perhaps we should have some entertainment. I find it rude to discuss business before we have a little fun." And he says, "Rahadin, bring the man in." And you see the doors open up.
just-
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Keep it.
And you see the doors open again, and you see a man handcuffed, wearing dirty kind of rags for clothes, no shoes. He's kind of just getting pushed in. He's kind of scuttling across. You can see that he has like a black eye and bruises on him. And he kind of scuttles over, and you see Rahadin take the handcuffs off of this man. And the man instinctively walks over to the organ with kind of like a heavy look, his head down. And Strahd tells him, he says, "Now go on, play the music." The man shuffles over there, and you hear him kind of spread out his hands, and this is what you hear. No?
There we go.
Fuck, we're all gonna die.
And so Strahd calls Rahadin over, or calls a servant over, who gives him a crystal decanter and a glass in front of him. And the liquid inside the decanter doesn't look like the wine that you're drinking. And he pours himself a glass.
Who gave him the decanter?
One of the servants. And you can see that it's thicker.
Cool.
And he kind of sits back and he says, music is the one thing that the dark powers didn't take from me when they cursed me. I can still appreciate a fine piece of music. And he plays it so well. It's a shame I keep him and his family locked in the dungeons. But I find that people perform their best when family is on the line. And he looks at you, Hope. And he leans in and he takes a sniff. And he says, yes, you smell like him. And let's see here. He says, well, I'm sure you would like to know a little bit about me. Of
course.
Well, now is your chance. You are my honored guests, after all, and I am a man of my word. I told you no harm would come to you, and I mean it.
And what of our families?
What of your families?
Will any harm come to them?
You have nothing to worry about. I know about your family. Are they even here in Barovia?
I thought you knew everything about them.
I do.
So where are they then?
He says, the Vistani that work for me, they tell me lots of things. They told me about your wife, the Vistani woman that you fell in love with, the daughter that you had. What did happen to them?
They found a better life. Much better than mine.
Well, I suppose you could maybe choose your words wisely, and you might have a better life for yourself as well.
You're correct.
So at that point, the servants come in with the food, and they set it down in front of you. It's a savory, well-prepared meal. You don't detect that there's anything weird about this meal, like poison. In fact, I'll let you guys know it's not poisoned.
I have a spell for that.
Yes, just so you don't have to expend a spell slot. No.
What was that chick's name?
Which one?
The werewolf chick?
Zuleika?
Yeah. I was thinking like, man, we could use her right now and just fucking taste all the food.
She's your little tester for everything. So he kind of, his rough facade kind of weakens or lowers a little bit, and he does kind of look longingly, like kind of past you, and he says, what is it like outside the mists?
It's been so long,
Yeah.
it's hard to
You-
imagine.
I have been here for 400 years. I do not know what it's like out there beyond the mists.
Well, for one, you can actually see the sky.
Oh, I would like to bask in the sunlight at least once before my life is over. But I don't think that day will come anytime soon. I'm cursed. Let's see. So, you're here in Barovia. What is it that you want?
To leave.
There are two ways out of Barovia. The first is with my permission, and the second is with my life. Seeing how you will never kill me, perhaps we can negotiate. You have done well in your time here in Barovia. You have made some friends. You've killed my werewolves, several of my wolves. You've spread messages of hope through the villages. I cannot have that. For you have done well here, but you have overstayed your welcome. So let's talk. What is it worth to you? Why should I let you go?
Well, I mean, you don't seem too happy about what we've done so far.
That is true. But
Maybe one less problem for you.
I have ways of dealing with problems. Ways that are much quicker than inviting you to dinner.
So why did you bring us here then?
Here to the castle or here to Barovia?
Both.
He says, I have no say in who comes in to Barovia, only who leaves. Why I brought you to the castle? Let's see here. He says, I find it rude not to greet the guests in your land. And I apologize if we got off on the wrong foot. But,
You do have quite the reputation.
and what do the villagers say about me? It's been so long since I've seen them.
They do know of you.
Yes, my kingdom rules itself fairly well on fear alone, wouldn't you say?
I just chuckle.
So he says, I have many enemies in the land. Some are more elusive than others. There is a vampire hunter who entered the land by the name of Van Richten. Bring him to me. Perhaps I'll let you go then.
Why can't you just send your creepy carriage to him?
It's much more fun this way. I suppose there is another way that we can do this. And he looks at you, Hope, and he says, one of my enemies that seems to be eluding me is somebody that you might know quite well. How long has it been since you've seen your boy?
2 months.
Time flies here in Barovia. I can't tell if it's been 20 years, 100 years. Do you want to see him again?
I down my drink.
He says, it's simple. If you want to leave Barovia, all you have to do is give me a drop of your blood. Now believe me, I could take it if I wanted to. But I believe it's much more fun to have you bow to me and give me what I want.
God damn it, I hate tyranny.
He says again, all it would take is a drop of your blood.
Can I think about it?
Sure. You may stay here as long as you like.
I lean forward
Yeah.
and I say, what's this have to do with our son?
He says, her son was brought to me years ago. I hoped I could train him, have him reach his full potential, possibly find a way to break the curse on me, and to have us escape here. But he turned on me. I loved him, or I raised him like a son. And he repays me by trying to kill me. That cannot go unpunished. He eludes me. I don't know what magic he is using, but I cannot find him. A drop of your blood would lead me right to him. So
Let me think about it.
he says, very well. As he
My boy has
sips.
always been a troublemaker. I'm drunk.
In real life?
No.
Okay. And so he says, very well. Take your time. You are welcome to stay in the castle as long as you'd like. I'm sure you've seen the rooms and they're to your liking.
What if we don't want to stay?
He says, well then, you are welcome to leave. I will not stop you. But know this. If you deny me, I will not hold back. Now
Where
you may
can we
be...
find the
Mhm.
the vampire slayer or the vampire hunter?
He wanders Barovia under the ruse of a carnival wagon. Under
Oh, that guy!
Just right here, just fucking do it. Fuck it.
You want the curse lifted, Strahd?
Yes, I do. I have tried everything.
What have you tried?
I've tried magic. I've studied every book there is in Barovia for 400 years. I know every spell there is, but I cannot seem to break this curse.
The curse of.
I made a pact with the dark powers. I killed my brother and drank from his neck so I could have his bride as my own. I wanted her to see things my way, and I knew she would come around. The dark powers betrayed their promise with me. They did not give me her. She flung herself from the castle. I had not seen her body. I spent 50 years looking for her. And finally, I found her, alive. I went to her father and asked if I could have his daughter's hand in marriage. Like a fool, he killed her, so I could not have her. So I flooded their village and murdered every single one of them. I believe that at this point, the only way to break the curse is to somehow have Irina accept me and choose me to be her husband for all eternity.
What makes you think that's the way to do it?
That is the one thing the dark powers keep from me. I have tried several times over the last few hundred years, and every time she slips through my grasps. I cannot have people roaming Barovia trying to kill me, not when I am so close to breaking the curse. She cries in the night now for her family, but she will see things my way soon enough.
But why her, though?
And his eyes kind of fill with as much of a loving glare as Strahd can give, and he kind of looks off and he says, "She is the embodiment of beauty. I have never seen someone so vibrant and pure. I must have her.
Happens you don't leave for 400 years.
But more than that, she is the one thing that slips through my grasp that the dark powers do not let me have. I need her. I need her to take me and be mine." Now I cannot have a vampire hunter and somebody who has already tried to kill me wandering these lands.
What was your first contact with these dark powers, like that you speak of, that granted you your eternal life?
He says, when I inherited this castle, I found a magic room. And there was a mirror there. That when you walk through it, it would teleport you to the Amber Temple.
To what?
Amber Temple.
Can we go check out the mirror, sir?
You are welcome to walk through my castle wherever you'd like.
Anywhere we like?
You are not to go in the catacombs.
Damn it. Okay. Sure. We'll follow that rule, definitely.
What's the name?
So Strahd,
Yes.
I happen to notice a big dragon skull.
in your basement or trophy room. How'd you come by that one?
Many years ago, I destroyed the Order of the Dragon. And I took the head of their leader and I hung it in my trophy room. I'm quite proud of that one. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah, it's real nice. And I kind of tuck the necklace into my shirt.
And he says, I do know, you may think it over. Take as long as you need. Let us eat. Let us call the others in. And the other two join you at the table on this side. And they are served their meals, and they start eating. And he says, I will not be joining you in the feast. But enjoy. I will take to my room. And you see him.
Can
yeah.
No, before he. Can I put my hand on his arm before he leaves? Like I could see.
Mm-hmm.
Put my hand on his arm.
Yeah.
Go, my son.
Yeah.
When's the last time you've seen him?
It was about a year ago.
Where?
I suppose the last place I saw him was falling off the bridge outside my castle.
Was he well? Did you treat him well?
I treated him like a son. I let him live with me.
Insight check.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, yeah.
Nat 20.
Huzzah.
You think that, Daddy Strahd wasn't real nice, but he gave him food, he gave him clothes, he gave him knowledge and warmth. And he says, because he sees you peering into him, and he says, he stopped crying for you about a year after he got here.
Ouch!
That was rough.
I like grasp his
Yeah.
arm tighter.
Mm-hmm. And he looks down at your hand. He looks up at you. And he allows it. Yes.
And then I let go.
Okay. You can also, you don't have to act out line by line. You can tell me what you're hoping to get out of this
Oh, okay.
in like normal English, and I'll tell you how he responds. But he kind of pulls his arm back, kind of rubs it off.
Right.
He says, well, if that's it, I suppose I should be going.
Is this the last time we'll be able to talk to you tonight? Or can we expect to see you later?
Tonight, this will be the last you see of me. Now, I suppose it depends on how your friend here decides. You may be seeing more of me.
Where's Irena?
She is in her room, on the king's floor.
Do we have your permission to talk to her tonight?
No. I do not need you meddling in this. There we go. Yeah, I'm assuming you've been eating
Oh, okay.
throughout this time.
And vampire number 2 is doing his thing, and then fucking Gertruda's
Yeah.
Livius' stuff.
You notice that Escher's bowl doesn't look like everyone else. It's just a bowl of like a red liquid.
Fuck you.
They're little chunks in it.
Yeah, they are.
Like a finger.
Yeah. Do you want to look closer at it?
God.
Where are you? Yeah, you're
Really
across from.
stringy.
You're across from him. Do you want to?
I don't know.
Really,
You see,
like,
he kind of
thick.
he pushes his spoon in, and you see an eyeball pop up. So, Strahd kind of dissipates into mist.
So all that shit that he was talking about wanting to get with that chick who keeps crying, he
Mhm.
said that shit in front of Gertrude?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Gertruda
Yeah.
this whole time has just been clutching the doll, just kind of not saying a word, just silently, wiping tears from her face. And Strahd is gone. And
Shit, monkeys. Alright.
yes.
Yeah.
So
So this guy across the way from me, he's just eating, minding his own fucking business like he normally does the whole time.
yes. And actually, Strahd is going to reappear. Mainly because the DM forgot to say this before he left. He's going to reappear, and he's going to say,
Super cool, dude.
He's gonna say, "Oh, I forgot to mention. There will be one more person joining us. I don't think they'll need a plate." And you see the doors open again, and he kind of disappears, and Rahadin pushes a man in, and you see a man with like a scraggly beard and kind of old in the face. And Hope, you see that he actually is missing. He's blind in one eye. And make a perception check. That's you're rolling 20s tonight.
Rolling well.
That's the third one
That's the
tonight.
third one, yeah.
Not the right set of dice, huh?
You
The pink.
The pink one.
server.
The pink.
you
sparkly
instantly recognize him as the gypsy man that you bumped into on your way to the tavern the night that Rev was taken. And he kind of gets pushed in, and he takes this seat here. There, actually.
Do I recognize him?
No. You didn't get a good enough look at him. She has history with him from her childhood. And he's just kind of sitting there, looking around now. The Escher and Gertruda have finished their meal, and they politely excuse themselves, and they kind of walk out. It's the 4 of you, or the 5 of you now, with this man sitting there.
I haven't touched my food at all. I like slam my drink down. I
Okay.
push myself out of my chair, and I like get up and I march down to Dwarf Man,
A gypsy man.
Gypsy Man.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm imagining a dwarf. He's just a man.
He's
Like,
he's,
short
hunched
man.
over.
he's hunched
Weird.
over, like he's a human though.
He's a
Weird
human.
eye.
Okay.
Yeah, with a weird eye.
Okay. And if there's a way for me to come around him and just like grab him by the collar,
Mm-hmm.
like just pull him out of his chair.
Yeah.
Stand up.
You do that, and you pull him out, and his chair tips backwards, and you now have him like on his back, kind of holding him there, like he's on his butt.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of looks up at you, and he has an instant realization, and he recognizes who you are,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't say anything to you.
And I pull out one of my arrows that I have, and I hold it to his neck, and I say, "What the fuck?" I go, "What are you doing here?"
He says, I have lived here for 20 years.
And my son?
I merely brought him to the man who was commanding me,
Why?
because he asked it.
He asked for my son?
Yes. He asked the Vistani here to relay the message to me.
The Vistani.
Yes. They are the ones that can travel through the mist, aren't they?
I look to Mozart.
And then I look back at the man and I say, why him?
And he says, Strahd saw something in him. He saw his potential. He might, or at least Strahd thought, had the ability to break the curse and release him from this prison. Yes, your son was very gifted. We don't know where he is now. If I had the chance to do it again, I would do it in a heartbeat.
I like hold the like arrow closer to him, and then I just like swing him to the side, and I get up and I march out the door.
And he says, don't you want to kill me?
And I look back and I say, I just want to find my son. And I leave. I walk out that way.
And he says, Strahd will get him. He always does. As you're leaving. What's wrong? Ah! Alright, we got a little bit more that time. Thank you for catching that. What gives, man?
Is that guy still playing the organ?
He is. Well, maybe.
Good little
I thought it was my son at first. I was like, is that him?
No. Is just a Vistani man. Or a Barovian.
Regroup.
About
Come up with plan. I don't know, plan now. The new plan A.
Storage.
I have a plan for myself when I leave the room. But
I mean, I want to ask your guys' opinion on stuff.
In character or out of character?
And stuff that DM could just like go away.
Feel free to discuss.
First of all, I'll wait till the whole party's here. Second of all, I'll wait till you're out. I'm not gonna know everything. Heck, I know.